a wife at home with a kid, and we weren't making it. Maybe I need to look into real estate. He offered the opportunity to join his team. And so it was a big risk because it's a commission only business.
Yeah.
My wife is not working, right? But I just felt like that's what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And my first year in real estate sold 35 houses.
I didn't realize it was that high.
35. Yeah. And like,
holy cow.
you want to talk about just drinking from a fire hose. Like,
There's all these older people in real estate.
Sure.
And like you've kind of built this fun, family oriented community.
we literally just built the business we wanted to be a part of. Like,
yeah.
we are not fake about any of it because, and I think probably the reason it does resonate with people is because it's just who we are.
Yeah.
Like, we wanted a business where we could bring our families around.
Your stories, your experiences can change it all. Let's fight failure together. We can defeat 90.
Welcome to Defeat 90 podcast number 3. And I have, this guy has known me, probably one of my oldest friends. He's a superstar entrepreneur. And I say that, here's what makes Aaron amazing and why I want him on the show is that he is one of the biggest, kindest hearts I've ever met. He does not give up on people. He gives them so much grace and is there for them and does just an amazing job of leading people and leading teams. And through that, through caring about people, he has built one of the most successful real estate companies in Springfield, Missouri, and has changed a lot of lives. I can tell you my life has been changed because of him being in my life and has been my friend through some really tough times. And when we talk about Defeat 90 being authentic, he's one of the most authentic people I know. And so I'm looking forward to this conversation, talking to him. But this is Aaron Owens. And
Wow, that was quite the intro.
I had to. Give honor where honors due. And I think that.
Yeah.
I want the audience to understand who they're hearing from.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's an honor to have you on the show.
I appreciate that. I mean, honestly, right back at you. I know we'll jump into kind of our history and stuff, but I mean, when we partnered in business years and years ago, that was like one of the first big jumps into entrepreneurship and starting a business and, for me. And so you took a chance on me too. So it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, but it was pretty easy because he's also an incredibly talented graphic designer, probably one of the best.
Not anymore, man. I feel like I've lost my touch.
No.
Yeah.
No.
You have to practice that stuff. And I've been out of it.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. It's crazy because I'm launching this. I've had to get back into doing graphic design. I'm like, oh my gracious.
Yeah.
I know why. I always wanted Aaron to do this stuff because I'm okay, but
Can I tell how we met?
Honestly, I don't remember.
So we have a mutual friend and we went to Silver Dollar City.
Yes.
So we went to Silver Dollar City. It was me and, this friend, and they introduced us, and we spent literally like 4 hours walking around Silver Dollar City talking about entrepreneurship.
We did. I
And literally after that, we're like, I think we should try a business together. And
we did.
We did.
It was like a couple months later.
That's right.
What's interesting, I think one of the things we connected about was Kiyosaki and Rich Dad Poor Dad, because I feel like that's one of the narratives that's been so interesting is like, as I talk to entrepreneurs, it's like one of the starter books.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if you've seen this, but there's stuff coming out that not all that story was true, which is crazy. But anyways, we'll leave that there. We'll catch that for maybe later. But
see, that's the hard part is like, it's hard to take people seriously because so much is made up and so much is embellished. And it's like never meet your heroes or never meet your idols or whatever, because they'll let you down. But that book is still powerful. It's still one of my favorite
100%.
books. I recommend it to everyone.
Well, I think there is power in the idea, right?
Oh, sure.
And one of the things I've learned as I've gone through life is to, you always hear don't throw the whole baby out with the bathwater. Grab the nuggets, grab the things from what you're learning and apply it where it needs to be applied. But I think one of the biggest things we don't do when it comes to education, and I really mean this when I say this, guys, when it comes to entrepreneur education, is you have to challenge it and you have to test it. Because so much of the time we just hear these gurus and this is how I did it. And we just take it hook, line, and sinker. And it's just like, So there's things in that book I think are amazing. But one of the things that I've kind of changed in my perspective and that is I do believe passive income is kind of a farce, because I don't think there's any way of not being engaged. Not granted that because you're always going to have to manage. There's always going to be things. Yeah. And more so than anything else for me, I'm sorry, jumping into like a deep topic, but I think we're made to have purpose and do something.
Sure. Yeah. The idea of retiring, right? Like I don't ever want to retire. I'll always have my hands in something. Now, the percentage of which I am devoting time to that will change.
Yes.
And I think that's where the idea of passive income comes in of like, when you've built something that is sustaining, that is, obviously I'm in the real estate world. So I think of, buying properties and having that income. It still takes work, but you basically delegate other people to handle that so that your time is more passive. If
For
that
sure.
makes sense. Yeah.
But you're never gonna get away from dealing with people.
That's true.
I mean, like that's the thing is like my brother has, so much property.
Right.
And like I just hear the stories and you're just like, like because the property manager, like unless you get like an entrepreneur run property management company, they're like, what do we do with this?
Have issues. Yeah.
Or like,
that's true.
I have some of my friends that have so many Airbnbs and they're like, they'll get calls in the middle of the night about just dumb things. It's just like, figure it out. What, like,
right.
Why are you calling me right now?
Oh, absolutely.
But ultimately, I mean, I think the balance of that is that doesn't bother me as much because there's a privilege of being it's kind of an honor to have anything like that to where you can free up your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Most people don't even have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
And that's what, circling back to Robert Kiyosaki's book, that's trading time for dollars.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's what most people, they grow up, they get an education, they go get a job, they clock in, they clock out. And, there are days that I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
Like as most entrepreneurs know, like your brain never shuts off. Like I literally had this thought this morning. I've never woken up in the morning and looked at my phone and didn't have emails or text messages from people.
Yeah.
Like it's been years since that's happened. Right. And that's just the life of owning a business. Right. Like, so sometimes, me and my business partner, we joke about like, we wish we just could go sit on a lawnmower for 8 hours a day and just put your headphones in and all you got to worry about is like running over a piece of trash, or something like that. Like but long-term, obviously that's not what we want.
And I want to say this too, not to the mean to people that do that, but from the perspective of like everybody's wired for their own thing. I think that's one of the things that like
some people are very happy doing that and they have success and they take care of their families and they love it. And they love it. And I'm glad, like we need people on both sides. And then like, also I grew up and kind of get through my background, but like never to be satisfied working for someone else. And that 100%. Was like in our DNA 100%. As kids growing up. And so, I just would not ever be satisfied working a 9 to 5.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried it a couple of times in my life and it was the most miserable time in my entire life. And I learned a lot through that.
It can be necessary sometimes.
It can. And there's been many times like when family members, you need to get a job. I'm like, I don't even, it's like that part of where it's like you realize what you're saying is not just to get a job. You're not believing in me. And that's but there is that time where things just aren't working. So I understand that, but I've also in a place in my life where I've just always hustled until I figured it out. But
absolutely.
That's not everybody,
Right. And I've had experiences like my younger brother went and, had 2 kids at home and a wife and his business that he was running wasn't going as well. And so he went and worked at Starbucks from 5 a.m. till 1 p.m. just so they could have insurance and money, and then he went and built a side hustle the rest of the time, in that interim. So I respect that. There's definitely chapters and seasons for everything.
I think that's a good segue. Let's transition into your story, right?
Okay.
So for you, one of the things that was, I think, amazing about your story is a sad part of your story, but that really, I think, shaped your character from everything I've seen. Yeah. And that's your dad. Yeah. And like, just tell me about the legacy of your dad.
Yeah. So little background on me. I've got 5 brothers and sisters, big family, grew up here in the Ozarks, grew up on a 300-acre farm north of town. So, I say that because I think that is also in the core of who I am. Just working on a farm, you get to see these principles that we carry on in business of things like seed time and harvest and putting in hard work. And, so I saw that from that standpoint. But then my dad was also a business owner and entrepreneur, owned multiple businesses. He's got a crazy story, which, we won't get into all of that. But The short version of it is he came from a family that did not have very much money. A guy from his high school kind of took an interest in him, taught him principles from Dale Carnegie, which was a huge part of who he is. And it changed his whole trajectory in life. He went from a family that did not have a lot of money to starting businesses and, having multiple businesses. And so all that being said, for me, I grew up around entrepreneurship, grew up around the business owner mentality. And that has really led to what I talked about, like never being satisfied working for someone else. Like we've all done that. We've had to work jobs, but actually, what's crazy is today, the day we're recording this, is my dad's birthday.
Oh,
which
wow.
is pretty crazy. So, my dad passed away in 2007. I was 19 years old and really just did not have a lot of direction what I wanted to do long term. I was going to OTC, just checking that box. I was working at the family printing company because that was the industry that we were a part of. And so for me, I was just at a time in my life where I did not have a lot of clarity or answers. Dad passed away, and I remember just praying, like, God, just show me what I'm going to do for the rest of my life and who I'm going to do it with. Like those were my, my biggest worries or, prayers. And so what's crazy is that next year, actually later that year, I started dating my now wife for 16 years, which is cool. And I got introduced to entrepreneurship, really. Like my parents obviously had showed me that, but, jumped into an MLM, which I don't know, we can talk about that at some point.
Definitely talk about that.
Yeah. But then that one thing led to another, and you just learn the principles of business ownership. And then we started a business, what was that, 2012 or something like that?
Yeah, 2012, 2013, somewhere in there.
So, and then that led to another business. And then, here we are today.
I think you're probably up there with me too. I mean, this is my 17th. I think you're at least, 10, right?
Yeah. I've not really sat down and counted them, but lots of failed businesses. Yeah. The running joke for a while was just coming home to Tracy, my wife, and saying, "Hey, I got a business idea," and she'd just like roll her eyes like, "Okay, well, here we go again." So
I think it's crazy because like we come from two different stories when it comes to that. Because my dad was an entrepreneur, but like really should have been just a technician. He should have just worked for someone. And I suffered the consequences of not having a dad that understood what he was doing.
Okay.
And that's played out in both of all my family's life because of that. And for you to have that legacy, like it's just crazy. Let me ask this question. Is there moments as you're doing business still that like lessons he taught you just popped in your head?
Oh yeah, constantly. Yeah, constantly. And it's honestly things that, when I was a kid, maybe obviously, didn't pick up on but I will do it and then realize, hey, that's something my dad did, like this is the way he would have done this, or like just different things, like his mindset towards helping people. Like you kind of mentioned that in the intro, like that's a huge part of who I am.
Yeah.
Always, I am a very, I trust people maybe more than I should, but I always give people the benefit of a doubt. And trust that they're going to do good, and until you give me a reason not to, I guess.
Yeah.
But just taking care of people, going out on a limb to serve people, that's a big part of my faith. And I believe that's what my dad showed me. And then always learning, doesn't matter where you came from or your background, like you're always learning from other people. Everyone's a teacher to you in some way. Everybody.
Which I just want to say this is just a note on that. I really appreciate that. Because there's been this epidemic, and I say epidemic because I really think it's something that's wrong. And I've been hearing more and more. I've seen on Facebook and LinkedIn, people saying, well, don't trust anybody's education from anybody who has less of a bank account than you. And I'm like, I'll never forget, there's a story about Donald Trump where he was walking with a date, and basically he was saying how the guy on the street actually is in better financial position where he's at, because he was like $100 billion in debt.
Oh gosh.
And he's like, this man's actually more rich than I am. And the lady didn't even understand.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, there is something powerful about learning from everyone and being teachable. But we need this position of like, well, you can't talk to me because you're not a millionaire. Well, okay. Well,
yeah.
Like, because I think the thing that's interesting about that is like, yes, maybe they can't speak to a money issue, but they can speak to a character issue
Sure.
because like anyways. Like,
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. If you have that mindset going into it, that you will be successful because you will always be able to learn something from somebody.
Yeah.
And going into a situation feeling like you know everything, I mean, that's the worst thing you can do.
100%.
I mean, it's the worst thing you can do for your business. And, honestly, I think that's a big reason why businesses fail is because they do jump into it thinking, I have to only interview the people who are more successful than me. Or, I know everything. And that's so detrimental to your business.
Well, I've been kicking this idea around, like if you could interview a really crazy successful business or a business owner or someone that's just had a mom and pop shop for 20 years that's defeated the failure rate twice,
Right.
Because I feel like in some ways to keep a business solid in a community for that long, that's crazy.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you've watched Shark Tank, most of the businesses they invest in are the ones from the people who have tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and failed. And now they have something that's potential because they all say that, like, you have built that muscle, that failure muscle.
Yeah.
And if everything's just been handed to you or you've just been successful on the first try, you're not going to appreciate it. You're not going to be ready for it when it happens to you. Like there's a lot to that.
So going back to your dad, what's as honoring him on his birthday, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the best or biggest or most memorable piece of advice he gave you that you could pass on to our audience?
I don't know if it's necessarily advice. I mean, it is advice, but he was very big on understanding, prioritizing prioritizing his faith, and then his family, and then his business.
Okay.
And a lot of people say that kind of stuff, but I feel like he actually did live that. Like, nothing was more important than his faith.
Yeah.
And that was shown to us. We prioritized church and prayer and reading the scripture and things like that, like more than some other things.
Yeah.
And then next was his family. Nothing prioritized over that other than his faith. Whether that be family time or spending money on things that were helping our family. And then third was the business.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think entrepreneurs kind of get those things mixed up sometimes, and sure, there are seasons of life where your business is taking a lot of time and, maybe away from your family, and maybe that's necessary for that season. But long-term, having those things lined, that was good advice. I feel like I've applied that.
Well, I think it's interesting. The only way you could say it's good advice is if he lived it.
Sure. Yeah.
And clearly he did, because you're the fruit of that,
Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's jump into the topic that I think it's just such an interesting thing of the MLM situation.
Okay.
I say situation like,
yeah. Well, you were with me during that.
I was.
For a big part of that.
The amount of conversations I have is like, Aaron, are you sure? Are you sure about this?
Yeah.
When I look back at it now, understanding what it gave you, I wouldn't it was the best thing that could have happened to you, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. 100%. We still talk about that to this day. So got started, my business partner, best friend now, he was working at Zio's, I believe.
Oh my gosh. Seriously?
Yeah, he was a server at Zio's, and he got contacted, which is what you do in the MLM. You get contacted, to join Amway.
Did he get interviewed?
Kind of, like, it was just, hey, are you looking for other ways of making money? Was kind of the tagline. And, of course, Adam's like, yeah, I'm working at Zio's. Like, I've got a kid at home, and, like his situation. And so yeah, he got contacted, and then he told me about it. And I was like already, excited about being an entrepreneur. And actually my parents were a part of Amway back in the 80s. So like had a good experience with Amway. Like back then, obviously in the 80s, it was different. It was catalogs and, things like that. So yeah, we jumped in, at that point, me and Tracy had only been dating for a few months, but she trusted me, and we built Amway from 2008 to 2015. So, 7 years probably.
Oh my God. I didn't realize it was that long.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, like most businesses, there's pros and cons to both.
Yeah.
Like I will lean into the pros because I feel like most MLMs teach you qualities that you need to run a business.
Yeah.
And that is leadership, being a self-starter, having a community that you lean on. There's a lot of good things, going to conferences and stuff that really build you up as a business owner. And there's a lot of pros to it.
Well, I think one of the things that, in entrepreneurship it's I feel like way underrated is the ability to sell.
Sure.
And I think that's something that you learned how to sell it in a more relational, problem-based solving side of things versus like there are those MLMs like buy this, but like
sure,
I feel like you did it long enough to see the difference between the selling methods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. There's definitely an element of selling that you learn from those businesses and not being afraid to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Like when we say contacting, you just talk to random people and ask them if they want to join your team, So like you do have to like just get over that fear of what people are going to say.
I remember you telling you would do this like once, twice a week is camp out at a coffee shop and just wouldn't leave for like 4 or 5 hours. And just talk.
Yeah. You do that. You go to, random stores and just walk up to people and ask them if they're looking for other ways of making money. I mean, just like looking back on it, it's probably not the best way. But you did, I mean, you had to do it and you just learned how to do it. So
what's the most interesting way you approach someone?
Oh gosh.
Or most interesting story?
I don't know. I don't know if I have, I mean, like there are quite a few times that I would just go up to a random person in like Marshall's or TJ Maxx who's just there shopping. That's it. And give them a compliment. Like, hey, I like the hat or shirt or shoes or something. And then try to like, I don't know, not make it awkward to transition to business. Like, I don't know. We contacted all kinds of people. So pros definitely. Cons, like any business, I think for us, we just reached a point where, in 2015, we had a kid. And I think that changed the model of like being up till super late hours and traveling to, do meetings with people on a whim. That was a lot of fun in our early 20s.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really have any responsibilities. And we had responsibilities, but like it was just different. And then like once you have kids, like it just becomes tougher to prioritize that. And then also the path of getting to passive income or, making substantial money is just, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
It's a difficult path. And it just became, there were some things within leadership that we weren't really agreeing with at the time. And then we had a baby on the way. And I think it was just kind of like, you know what, this is just, it's not the path we want to go. We've learned a lot. We're thankful for the education, but we're ready to go try something else.
So what would you say to someone else right now thinking about joining MLM because they're like, they don't want to start a business. They don't want to do like what we've done because it's scary, it's risky. Do you think it's a good way to start? Like, you think it's worth trying to kind of get your feet wet to see if it's worth being an entrepreneur or not?
I mean, obviously it depends on the MLM and it depends what you're selling.
This is 100% true. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, definitely vet those things, talk to lots of people, get their opinion on it. If you have no experience in the business world, sure. I don't think it's a bad place to start because it's going to force you to get out of your comfort zone and go talk to people and help them. And, so there are definitely pros to it. For someone who's maybe tried a couple other businesses and maybe this seems like low hanging fruit to like get started in, maybe not.
Yeah.
I will argue for real estate all day, because that's the industry I'm in now.
Yeah.
For example, like the biggest thing, like there were certain levels where you make good money and like, one of the big levels is the one person we were in business with made $20,000 in 1 month, which is a lot of money. I mean, don't get me wrong. That's a lot of money. But it took them years and years to do that.
Yeah.
And then once they did it, I don't know if they did it again,
Yeah.
you know? And so like in real estate, I feel like there's a lot of opportunity for that. And anyway.
Yeah. No, the value prop is it's a tough one for the amount of time in versus what you get back out for sure. I think the one thing that I saw too, from an outside perspective, you were given a lot of books to be able to learn, like not tied to just MLMs, but just business books.
Just business books.
And your business education just went like sky high.
Absolutely.
Which I think is interesting because as you get deeper in entrepreneurship, and if you are really wired to be an entrepreneur, I think that's part at the end too, why you're like, this is just doesn't make sense. So, I think that's kind of an interesting dynamic of how it kind of taught yourself out of doing the thing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, it resonated with me personally because of my parents' background.
Yeah.
And my parents got in Amway in the 80s and read those books and listened to tapes, you know, and they had us read those books too. Like even as, you know, one of the very first books, like I'd say business book that we were, that my dad had us read was The Richest Man in Babylon.
Oh yeah. I've heard of that. I have not actually read that.
Yeah. It's just a great book it's a kind of story form, but how to invest back into yourself and how to save money and invest into a business. And so I still recommend that book. It's a short read.
Yeah. Isn't the one too also recommends not having any debt, correct?
I can't remember if it talks about debt or not.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, so that was a big one. Anything that Dale Carnegie, you know, we read How to Win Friends and Influence People. Once again, it's just a business. It's a personal relation book. Like, you know, no matter what you do, you're in a relationship business. What you do, what I do, what 99% of our, you know, the people who are going to be watching this, they're in a relationship business.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, you may sell a different product or a service, but you have to be able to relate to people. You have to have good people skills. You know, I would rather somebody spend most of their time learning that stuff than anything else.
One more side thought, and then I'm going to jump to kind of continue this family side of things. So I think there's a lot of value talking through that. For you guys watching, if you don't know if you're made to be an entrepreneur, I feel like there's if you're questioning or trying to figure out that this life is for you and you see, you know, all the stories, you're like, oh, I can do that. It might be a place to start because there's low startup costs and so on and so forth. I'm not advocating for it. If I was, I'd say find some other business, but it might be a place to see if you even like it or not, because there is a lot of tough things to do, because if you can't get out there and sell and talk to people, you probably
and the other part too is one of the things you're trying to solve through Defeat 90 is the lack of community within the business world.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. 100%.
Like a lot of business owners try to do this themselves and they feel like they're on an island by themselves. And like, that's a huge issue with the business world.
100%.
MLMs answer that.
Yeah. In
a very good way. And so if nothing else, like all the business owners that are there or running their businesses help each other, right?
Yeah.
You're smiling because you say business owners.
No. In my head, I'm smiling because I'm thinking like, I'm going to start the Defeat 90 MLM.
Oh, there you go. That's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. Just sign here and get 3 of your friends.
Aaron, for a low price. Buddy.
Right. No, but there is like the community aspect of it is awesome because everyone is encouraging one another. You're all reading the same books. You're all doing the same thing. So I will say that is a huge part that they've done well at because you have that accountability that a lot of other businesses don't.
Well, and that shared goal of going after the same thing.
Yes.
There's power in that of like trying to encourage you because like when you were starting real estate and you're banging all the doors and putting door hangers and calling closed ended listings and all this other stuff, there's a point you're going like, why am I doing, because there's such a grind to it.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
But to have people with you grinding along the way.
Yeah.
And trying to, you know, where you're all, when you all succeed, when you all work together, you all succeed. It's beneficial. Right. And that's
right.
You don't get that. Like half the time, I feel like in the entrepreneur world, you're concerned, well, they steal my secret. Like maybe you'll give some tip for real estate that will help your competitor. Like I know you well enough, you don't care.
No.
But
abundance mentality, man.
Exactly. But there are people that genuinely are like, oh, I'm not sharing what I've learned. Like, why would I help you? Even if it's not even the same industry. And I think that's something that has, I feel that that's like a lid you're putting on yourself. Because I mean, it's so funny. We all say you're the, you know, some of your top 5 friends, but you don't have any friends. Like most people don't have any friends.
Sure.
And if they do have friends, it's not people that are in
what they're
doing.
Here's the thing. Here's the caveat. It's not friends. It's you are the average of the top 5 people you spend time with.
Ooh, yeah.
So it's not necessarily friends, because if you don't have any friends, like whatever. But even more than that, we used to say your income is the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most, right? So not just who you'll become, but also your income. So how's the quickest way for you to change your income? Hang around people who have a higher income.
I guess,
right?
Yes, 100%. And I know that's what it's, but my brain has always translated into, I just want to be friends with everybody.
Yeah. Which is good.
I mean, I'm sorry. I will say I have tons of friends because I just believe in people,
Absolutely.
But in that same token, I've in recent years, I've been like going, yeah, I need to be careful about that because I've seen the influences.
Sure.
So, all right, moving into like the family. So like, was one of the things that's interesting about your family, I think like, isn't most of your siblings, if not all, maybe one is an entrepreneur too as well?
Yeah. Most of us are business owners or a part of a business of some kind. Some have been more serial entrepreneurs than others. We still have the family printing company, which my brother and brother-in-law run. My younger brother's probably more of an entrepreneur than me, just started lots of businesses as well. So yeah, we, like I said before, that was instilled kind of in our DNA to begin with, of just, we long-term, we want the flexibility to spend time with our family.
Yeah.
And, the only way to do that and to create a long-term future is, I think, through business ownership, to some degree. And so, yeah, that was a big part. All of us have tried different things and worked in different businesses. And, I've worked in the corporate world for a very short time. That was terrible.
Compare that to doing the family business.
Yeah. Oh man, it's just so much. I mean, they both have pros and cons, right? Working in family business also has its issues. Like, you definitely have disagreements with your family, and then you got to go to lunch with them on Sunday, at church and like after church or whatever. So yeah, pros and cons. It's a good experience, and then the corporate world, man, you just have so much like red tape and bureaucracy and, people just talking bad. And man, I was a part of that for a few months, and it was such a toxic environment. I hated every day getting up. I would get the Sunday night, like I would get sick to my stomach thinking I had to go to work on Monday, just things like that. And granted, once again, it was a chapter of my life that was placed where it needed to be at that time, and I know we're skipping over QR Pro because this came after that, but
we're good.
We talked about like, hey, I have a kid at home and a wife, like I got to go make some money. And like, it was there. I made a good salary for a short time, having no degree. I got hired on a management position, having no degree. I mean, I have an associate of arts degree, but, which is kind of crazy, but it was there. And so anyway, it's just a chapter you go through.
Which is, I mean, probably just reinforced, okay, I am doing the right thing by doing my own business. Like,
oh, absolutely. Yeah. I still get PTSD from sending out emails and not having to copy 17 people on it.
Oh gosh.
Like that kind of thing.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm going to jump back to the family side of things. What's the, because I feel like from what your family business, because you're still in business with two of your brothers right now, has been relatively healthy. I mean, you have your sibling stuff, right?
Right. Yeah.
How have you kept it healthy? Like, if you were talking to a family business right now that's not healthy, that's struggling, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, obviously sometimes it just goes through time. So, my story is I worked in family business, meaning my dad was my boss for a while. Then when he passed away, my brother became my boss, which also had its own, own issues. If you have siblings, you know how that goes. Mainly from my side. I never showed up on time, and, I didn't take it seriously. And there was a phase of my life where I slept in a lot, and just, looking back on it, I'm not going to use the buzzword depressed, but I think there was a phase in my life where I was not happy. Yeah. I was not happy with what I was doing. And I think that translated over to just poor work ethic. But anyway, I think personalities play into it.
Yeah.
I think that certain personalities like me and certain ones of my siblings, we connect a lot better and we can get things done because we're in different kind of lanes. other siblings, we have very similar personalities. And so you kind of butt heads more. I mean, you and I have similar personalities. And I think that has been some friction when we've done business, not in a bad way, but just like, okay, like you got to learn how to do that. I think over communication is a key thing. I think understanding what your specific roles are within the business and letting that person succeed in that part. So if you've got three siblings in one business, delegate what the roles are, figure out where they're going to be good and successful in, and then reconvene and talk through it and change. And, I've had, I think one of the first businesses other than the print shop that I did with my brothers was like a t-shirt subscription company.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah. Which that one went well, but then once again, all of us were kind of in different phases of life, and, that one failed. We did a fundraising business. That one didn't go over well.
That one actually was a really cool model. I still think that one could,
sure,
in the right place.
Yeah, maybe we'll raise it from the dead at some point. And now we're in the pickleball space. So yeah.
Pickleball. I love pickleball. For you guys that don't know, I play pickleball 4 to 5 times a week. It's
addicting.
It's addicting.
Yeah. We are trying to tap into the addictions of others.
Yes. More power to you, buddy.
That's right. Yeah. Luckily this is in a better field.
A better field. Oh gosh. No. I love that. Know your lane, because I think it's when you have those mixed responsibilities and like you get into that place. Well, conflict for us, our conflict was always on the creative side of thinking, right? It was dealing in opinions and me now that
subjective
areas. And now that I understand them, that's probably what I fixed a lot of our stuff, because I tend to state things as if it's fact. And that really makes things not great when it comes to relationships or communication.
This is true.
I've been working very, very hard on that.
Yes.
And putting things in more if-then statements. This is how I feel it might be, or this, anyways.
And also we were like kids trying to build this business.
Gosh.
Like if you think about that.
You were a kid. I was still.
No, we're similar in age. That is like wisdom is such a part of that.
Yeah.
Like the reason that Drop Shots is going well now is because we've had years of failed businesses and trying to work together. And like sometimes you can't overcome that. Sometimes you just have to go through it together and figure it out, and then either try again or understand that, hey, this is just not going to work. Now, I will tell you, my dad always talked about like never be in a partnership with someone.
Yeah.
He hated partnerships because of the risk of ruining the relationship.
Yeah.
They're powerful when they work. And I'm a part of several partnerships that work well, but there's also the risk of completely ruining a relationship.
Yeah.
And honestly, like there's been times in family business where it's been like, I really don't like my siblings right now. Like, I don't like being around them because of what happened at work.
So how do you face that? Like seriously, where it doesn't go the bad direction, which it happens quite frequently in business. Like, how do you face that?
I mean, at some point, someone has got to be the bigger person, and say, hey, this is not working. Or maybe if you feel like you're the problem, or maybe you don't feel like you're the problem, but you have to address it. Like anything that you are feeling that you just suppress and don't talk about festers, and then it comes up in one big fight and then it's over. That's what happens with most family business. It's like I've put up with this for years and I didn't want to say anything because they're my brother or my sister or whatever, or my dad or my mom or what, and they never address it. And then all of a sudden it comes up as one big nasty fight that just ruins everything.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, communication is a big part of it. I feel like explaining where you are coming from, if there is an issue, also giving yourself a little bit of time to think through it and not just, immediately say what's on your mind. Sometimes for personalities, that's tough. Like we just want to share immediately, like this is an issue, as opposed to being like, all right, I'm going to step back. I'm going to think about this. I'm going to find a solution.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to say, hey, this is what's going on. Here's how I feel like a good way that we can fix it. But it's not always going to work. I mean, that's the problem. Like,
well, and I think that being the bigger person, because so much in relationships, I've been studying a lot about relationships, different books on communication, some things I'm just trying to get better at in my life. And so much of all this stuff comes down to expectations being unrealistic.
Yeah.
So for you to be able to come from a humility and say, here's where I'm at,
Mm-hmm.
kind of puts a baseline for you guys to be able to work through and say,
Yeah.
I want to make this work.
Yeah.
But so many people don't want to make things work. They just want to
True.
be right.
True. Yeah.
And it just doesn't work.
No. You have to lay.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You have to put your ego at the door.
Yeah.
And understand that, like, if you are partnered in a business together, the only way that it wins is if everyone is on the same page and you move forward together. You know, you think about a wheel with a bunch of spokes, and if those spokes are not completely where they need to be, that wheel is not going to turn.
Yeah.
And you just have to, as long as everybody understands what their spokes are and what they're in charge of, and, you know, we're all going to make mistakes, but I think that's a big part of it.
I think the other thing for you guys too is you have shared character values,
Mm-hmm.
because I think sometimes there's a mismatch in that part too.
Oh yeah.
That where what you value, what you is important, your priorities, all this stuff are misaligned.
Mm-hmm.
And then how you approach that in life gets things all wonky because, like, to me, that applies more so in a business partnership, because I'm kind of where your dad's at that point. It's going to have to be someone that I just trust, know them as a person and their character place.
Yeah.
Because it's just too easy when you get money. Money to me has always been a tool and a magnifier.
Yep.
When things get desperate, it brings out character. And when it gets really successful, it brings out character.
Oh yeah. 100%.
And so it's just something that making sure that you're equally aligned in your relationships with people, I think is a key part of that.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the number one thing that kills a partnership is people not investing the same amount of time or effort or energy.
Yeah.
And you have two people who are supposed to be 50-50 partners, and this person's spending 60% of the work and this person spends 40% of the work. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, I'm doing more and you're getting paid the same. And boom, that's when it blows up. Like that's the number one thing that happens. And so, you know, I don't necessarily have an answer of like the perfect way to fix that, other than just understanding what people's lanes are and their roles and communicating properly on that. And when something becomes an issue, just talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, this is an area of our business that's starting to fail. Obviously, this is an area that you're in charge of, right?
Yeah.
Like, how can I help you? Is there something do we need to outsource this? Do we need to bring someone else in? Do I need to help take on some of the workload? Like, are you not happy at your job? I don't know. Like, there's just lots of things. And that's speaking from now, you know, been in a real estate partnership for several years now.
Yeah.
And, you know, that I feel like has worked really well between me and Adam, because we have such different personalities and we see things very differently.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
It's a good thing. Yeah.
Because honestly, he doesn't care about being in front of anyone, or, you know, like he doesn't really care about the opinions of other people. I'm an achiever. I'm a 3. I care about everyone's opinion and what they think. And so like, there's a nice balance between the two of us. We're also really good at communicating with things that are issues or whatever. But like you said, we're commonly aligned on the things that matter. And then the rest of it's like, you know, we've said, hey, if there's even any hint that this business is not going well, we'll shut it down to preserve our friendship.
100%.
And we honestly believe that, like, you know, so.
Well, and it's so crazy because it goes back to the priorities your dad taught you.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many people in partnerships value money and success over the person.
Right.
And I don't know, if you're in business with a really good friend, like you have to prioritize that. You can't, I don't know. It seems so common sense because I'm such a loyal person. That's a huge part of my personality.
Sure.
But to some, again, it's clarifying those things.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things too, that I think is a really, really important when it talks about the expectation, I was talking about that a second ago, is that we need to clearly define those expectations, not just what you want, but what does something look like? I can't even tell you, like I've had those partnerships where the person doesn't do the work, but they thought they were working hard based on where they were at.
Yeah.
And that's like,
but that kind of person is going to be very tough to be partnered with.
Yeah. If they don't understand what work, but
right.
But when you talk, because I mean, I've been working since I was like 6 years old. Like I grew up sanding, like, and I mean, I've been doing stuff, sweeping floors, and I know you do. And to be in partnership with someone that doesn't understand work ethic and they just don't get it.
Right.
It's just so tough.
Yeah.
But it's having those conversations, walking through.
I think that's why there always needs to be some sort of an interim period before you partner with somebody, or you see their track record, or you see because even friends, like I sat down with a friend and kind of talked through their experience in business, and they just talked about they had a successful business and they were partnered with someone 50-50 who was a friend they thought was going to go well, and it really didn't go well. And anyway, they got kind of screwed over and like all this different stuff. And now the friendship's completely dead.
Yeah.
Because money came into play, work ethic came into play. Those things were not communicated ahead of time, and that I feel like that's the story, probably a lot of people, but yeah.
So speaking of said partnerships.
Yes.
You and I
failed partnerships.
No,
I'm just kidding.
I've learned in life to redefine failure. Did we financially fail? 100%. Did we learn a lot and it propel our entrepreneur? I don't think we would be the people we are today without QR Pro.
Sure.
And OneCard. So first of all, let's talk about the positives. And one of the things I think is really important about OneCard, and okay, let me pause for a second. The reason why I wanted to talk to Aaron about this is because this is another part of my story. I think it's important that you guys understand. This is probably the biggest failure in my business career. I don't know if it's the same thing it's probably up there for you, but like,
yeah, it's pretty close.
This is the biggest failure for me, and
monetarily for sure.
Monetarily, the biggest failure.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to hear these lessons, because this is, if I'm going to talk about failure, defeat 90 and learning from it in my story and being authentic, this is important for you guys to know. So back to the previously recorded message.
Yeah.
OneCard truly was about 10 years ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And I think if we would have been launching OneCard this year, I think we would crush it. And I think the reason why it couldn't launch this year is because, one, we let go of the patents.
Yeah. And too much technology advancements, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think patent trolls would have stopped us. They would have tried to sue us for because we were early enough to have the patents to protect it. Yeah. We let go of those. That probably got bought up. And now the big thing is you create some software as a service and someone lets you get built and they're like, well, you were violating this, this, and this. And I think that's where we would have got stopped.
For sure.
But ultimately, here's the kicker. I think if we would have taken OneCard where we were talking about taking OneCard, we would have kicked LinkedIn's butt.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we're going.
Yeah.
And I think LinkedIn still is not what OneCard would have been.
There's not really been anything that has come out that is exactly what we were trying to create with OneCard.
No.
But, we were under there were too many manufacturing successful people and construction successful people here in Springfield.
Yeah.
And they didn't understand OneCard was a digital business card, right? And so, they did not understand not handing someone a physical business card.
Yeah.
And of course nowadays, it's so easy to text people or use Apple has the thing where you can transfer AirDrop stuff over. And that was the kind of stuff we were doing 13 years ago.
Through NFC, through QR
NFC,
codes.
Through Blackberries.
Oh my gosh. Blackberries and the bane,
which is terrible.
Point. Yeah.
So basically, I was working in the family print shop. We met at Silver Dollar City. He talked about this idea that they wanted. He already had a developer who was on the team.
Yeah.
So he's like, hey, why don't you come over and let's try this thing? I'm like, all right, let's do it. So joined the team and then ran it for 2 years, year and a half,
couple of years,
something like that. Really trying to get people to understand the value of having a digital business card, and not just a business card, but a
community,
just a community and a point of contact. That was the initial sell, was a digital business card, but there was so much more to that.
Yeah. It basically was a digital business card, digital brochure, your own personal website brand. But then we had figured out a way to connect them to company cards. And ultimately it was going to, for lack of a better, it was going to basically combine LinkedIn, Yelp, business cards, and then basically your train website, and then totally redefine how you would network at a conference.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more pieces to that, but still to this day, no one's even done the digital business card that well. The things right now, you have the pages where it's just a link page that looks like junk.
Or what's the one you wear with a wrist?
Oh yeah. But it's just like a personal website. We had created something that was an entire ecosystem.
It was like Linktree before Linktree too.
It was way before Linktree. Like we're
Yeah.
talking about like, guys, there was no competitors. We were probably the first real digital business card like in 2012, 2013. So, but I think one of the books that's like always stuck in my head since then that I read in like years after is Blue Ocean.
Oh yeah.
Blue Ocean Strategy. We were, what killed us is that we were too early. There was so much money that needed to be dumped into the education system side of it. Because when you create something that's a blue ocean, that's one of your biggest flaws is you have to educate the consumer about why this should be something valuable to you.
Sure. Yeah.
But we were on the edge of the business card revolution too, because the prices of getting business cards just with overnight prints and some of these just dropped and like changed how cheap it was to print business cards.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, do I spend
Which is funny because I came from a printing background to something that's like, hey, stop printing, Well,
and I do want to say this. We were so close to like making it with Staples.
I know that was the thing.
That's the thing.
So talking about business failures, right? One of my biggest failures, and we've talked about that, is we borrowed money from family.
Yeah.
To float it until we got this contract with Staples.
With Staples.
And which never came to fruition.
We were close.
We were so super close, but
what ended up stopping is they didn't want to kill their own business cards.
That's
really what it came down to.
We spent so much time developing it for BlackBerries because all their representatives had BlackBerries and so yeah, I mean, I think it was definitely ahead of its time. I think that we did not have, if we were in a different location in the country, I think that also would have made a big difference if we would have gotten some early adopters who were heavy hitters to sign on to it.
Yeah.
I remember walking up to Doug Pitt at a tech conference and just asked him like, hey, give me your phone number. I'm going to text you a digital business card. And he was like, no. And then I was like, I really want to show you this demo. And he gave me his phone number. And I thought that was a big deal, which it's not really that big of a deal, but
yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about. We had this technology that like we were pushing the lines of mobile apps. We were pushing lines of NFCs, all the top technologies at that point. We were so far ahead, but yet there's something to be said about people and being stuck in their way to do something.
Right.
And not understanding that. And not like, we were just like, well, this is the most brilliant thing.
Right.
And not understanding.
But also, and at some point you have to get off your high horse and realize that the business is not the issue necessarily.
Yeah.
But the environment and the people who are purchasing may be the issue.
Yeah.
And I think it was hard to go down with the ship at that point.
Yeah.
But, I think I was one of the first ones to leave just because I needed to go make money somewhere. And, that kind of dissolved. I went and worked for the corporate company right then. Then eventually after that, went back to family business and, and I think you and Josh were trying to kind of keep it going and just at some point had to say, hey, this isn't working.
Yeah. It kept on going for a while and then Josh ended up taking it and I am leaving. But like, I think the thing too, okay, so going back to the money, there's two things we did that was really unhealthy. One, we acted like we had money when we didn't have money.
True.
We spent it on things we probably shouldn't have spent it on. It wasn't like crazy, but we should have really buckled down to give ourselves more runway. Two, we borrowed when we weren't thriving.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing we did too at the same, I don't know if you remember this, at that same time we adjusted our business model. So we went from lifetime and yearly to monthly, and that killed our revenue because we were making decent money when it was doing the yearly, and then thinking we get more people.
Right.
But there is something to be said about like we just changed too much all at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was just kind of one of those wild things.
And also like we didn't have enough in reserves to start a business like that.
No.
And I think that's also an issue is like you are giving yourself and your business a very short runway if you do not have a lot of money set aside to sustain you while you're building a business, right?
Yeah.
Like if you don't get a big investment ahead of time, like you see these businesses or something, or like, have money set aside to start this business, you're literally giving yourself a ticking clock that if you don't succeed in this amount of time, you're going to have to go do something else to make money, right?
Well, I think that's one of the things that, guys, we are bad gamblers. Like if you look at it from perspective, and I've talked about this before, but like when you say 90% of business fail in 10 years, And you look at the first year businesses, I think it's 26%. And then it's like, it just keeps on going up over the 5 years. When you start looking at that, the odds are that you're more in a slant to fail than succeed. But yet we take out money as thinking like, well, if I just get this, I know I can make it in 6 months.
Right.
We don't plan for the worst. And
that's true.
Truly, like I stand firm as I will never borrow another dime unless it's like to inflate what I'm already doing. Like if it's already on a really good path and it's like
you have purchase orders
or something confirmed.
Sure.
That's going like it's fueling the business. It's not like trying to save yourself.
Yeah.
If you were getting debt, just save your business. Just stop it now because okay, this is something I don't know if you guess how much debt the average entrepreneur is in.
120,000.
180.
Dang.
That's on top of their houses. That's on top of the cars and all that stuff like that.
No way.
And so when you start thinking about this, when you're on that downward spiral, why add more to what you have to pay back?
Right. Yeah.
Like, unless you can come up with a solid plan, but like this whole wishful, hopeful dream, I think that's the thing. We as entrepreneurs, we're visionaries.
Yeah.
We're dreamers. Like, we can do this. We got this.
Yeah.
And it's just
but you also need someone who's realistic to say, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Or
pivot or do something.
Or, hey guys, we're all going to keep this going, but we're going to all get jobs.
Sure. Like a true side hustle or something.
Or like for us, we could have done like a marketing company. Like what we should have done is kept QR Pro going, started a marketing company.
Sure.
Using all of our skills we had, and then use that to leverage building.
Yeah.
One card slowly.
Yeah.
But we get in this mindset, we have to do it all at once.
Right.
And it just, ultimately we should have started this in Silicon Valley. And I think it would have been, we probably would have got the money.
Yeah. Sure.
Not own very much of the business. And then when it's all said and done, but something's better than nothing,
Yeah, absolutely.
And to know that there's nothing like it still to this day is just, it's my brain going.
Yeah.
Okay. So besides borrowing money from the fam, what's another takeaway you learn from the failure of one card?
We just learned so many lessons during that time. We really did. Like we learned, I think a big thing is sometimes done is better than perfect or whatever that saying is.
Yes.
And I feel like we struggle with that a little bit because we wanted to make sure everything was absolutely perfect. And instead of just getting it out there and fixing it as we go, like I think there was some of that element we did pretty good with. I think also a big takeaway, and this is kind of maybe difference of opinions or whatever, but sometimes people are not meant to be partners on stuff, right? Like me and you are good friends and like we could do business together now because we've learned.
Yeah, we've learned.
But I think we were babies at that time. And like, I'm going to speak to myself. I feel like I was not like mature enough to be in a partnership with you.
Yeah.
And, I think that was a learning lesson for me. I think I learned a lot from that as far as communication and, just proper expectations, like you said, within the partnership. Like, we didn't necessarily have clearly defined roles and like, we didn't really talk about that very well. And so, so I think that was a learning lesson too. I learned about working with you and working with different types of people and different personalities. And
our other partner was also can be a pain in the butt to deal with too on that stuff.
Totally different personality too.
And I think there's definitely weight to that because like literally like we would just straight fight about like
we would
over about like things, stupid things,
icon colors.
Yeah, dude. I'd be like, I need you to move that over like 10 pixels. Why? It's fine how it is. Like, and I just remember those fights and just like,
I know. Yeah.
Like for both of us, like there was just, there was the humility that we needed to have.
Yeah. And also it was during a volatile time in both of our personal lives.
Yeah.
And we don't have to get into details with that, but I'm just saying like, there was just a lot going on in our personal lives that business affects your personal life. I don't care like if you have, I turned my phone off at this time. No, you don't. Like it affects your spouse. It affects your kids. Like everybody has to be on board with that. Everybody has to understand what the process is and like what you are committing to. And I think that bled over and, when things start getting personal like that, it changes the way you do business.
Well, and also too, at that point, I don't feel like I really understood the core lesson that your dad taught you about the priorities. I was a dude that was working 100 hours.
Right.
And was fine with it.
Yes.
And you were like, bro, peace out.
Yeah.
And like that caused conflict too.
Right. Yeah.
But looking back, you were the healthy one. I was the unhealthy one. Like we did have conversations.
Sure.
Well, why aren't you? Well, dude, we can't, Yeah. And so I think like it's hard for me when I look, okay, just being real, when I look back at that time in my life, like just the unhealth in myself. Like there's some things that are amazing about who God made me to be that came out during that time.
Yeah.
But there is parts about how I communicate, like I talked about now knowing I'm 8, now knowing how the know-it-all, dude, like I used to be the worst know-it-all of all time, but I never could see it.
Yes, you were.
Yeah. And it's so hard to look
But
back.
I also used to be extremely lazy. Like I feel like in some areas of my life, like that was a part too, that I did not necessarily have the good work ethic that I believe that I have now. And, you know, there were just areas like we both had, you know, that we were trying to figure out, you know, all while having the extreme pressure of making no money. And that's the hard part.
And knowing that we were going to run out of funds.
That's
and knowing
right.
we had to pay it back.
And then we have to pay it back to a family member.
Right. Which was just like, well, how dumb were we?
But it's paid back, you know?
It is paid back.
It's good. It's good.
But the thing is like when you really, like, it's so, like, and I know that unless we went through those things, we would never found that out about our character. I mean, I feel like at 40, I just wish I could talk to myself. There's so many things that would fix things, because I feel like the amount of stuff I've gone through to be able to be in healthy friendships and oh my gosh, we would have crushed it, I think. But hindsight's 2020.
That's right.
But I think it's good that you point out that, because I do think that there's kind of a trend that's going through all the things we're talking about when it comes to business is relationships.
Yeah.
And that is one of the top 20 killers when it comes to like business, you know, is partnerships and people not knowing how to work together. So really think about who you're working with, but also I think it also applies to your team, right? Who you hire.
Staff. Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Because sometimes like
contractors, like any part of it,
you have to have the right people you can work with and have conversations with, because like it's so easy to cause more harm than good when it comes to, even if you have a talented person. Like I've worked with some of the most talented people, but they're just complete, I don't want to say narcissist, that's too strong of a word, but you're just like, okay, well, yeah, you're good, but we still have to work with you.
Right.
Like,
for sure.
Come on. Like, what are you doing?
Once again, that goes back to the business owner who feels like they know everything. And, you know, you've got to be humble. Like you have to have that.
And there's a part of me that's like, I just want to apologize.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much stuff went through. But I do think that, and genuinely, if there was anything I didn't apologize for back then, I definitely apologize for now. But like,
it's part of learning. I mean, like we said, this is part of our journey. This is part of starting a business. This is, you know, like how many other 20 somethings, I know I was younger than you, but like had the opportunity to start a business and actually had people, like we had income coming in, which means it was successful. We also got someone to believe in us enough to give us money to invest in, good, bad, or otherwise. Yeah. You know, like there were a lot of wins for like a ragtag group of guys in a junky little place in Nixa, you know, that was like trying to make this thing work and like doing funny videos and trying to figure out the whole social media thing. Like there's a lot, once again, done is better than perfect. I feel like with some of that stuff. And the quicker you can go through learning those failures, and because you're going to fail. Yeah. The quicker you can get at it, like looking back, I'm so glad I did that. Yeah. Like the only thing I probably regret is that I didn't get into real estate in my early 20s, only because of just the timing of like, what you could have done now, you know, but other than that, like I jumped into a business. We had fun along the way. We laughed a lot. Like we had wins along the way. Like I don't know, there's a lot that can be said.
Some crazy memories of like, I mean, do you remember this? Do you remember the time when we, at like 3 a.m, we had been working all night and we're like, let's just go hang out in the middle of the street.
Totally. I still have that picture that pops up on my memories on Facebook. Yeah. I'll send it to you.
Like, we're just chilling in the middle of the street.
Yeah. We worked all night long to try to get the new website up.
Yeah.
And like, we brought my wife in to do some of the copywriting.
Yeah.
Remember that during the Olympics? I forgot about that. We had the Olympics like up on the screen.
Yes. I do remember the projector. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And there's some of the videos we watched, but now like they're just, don't search.
Don't search YouTube for anything. It's not us. It's AI.
It's AI. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And we really did come close. If we would have got that deal, like we wouldn't be we wouldn't be sitting here today. Mm-hmm. It would have been, because I do think they would have helped us get to the right markets.
And then we had social proof.
And we
could say Staples is one of our clients. Yeah. And then everybody else would be okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
but it is in hindsight. And
That's right.
Here's the other thing too. One of the things, okay, this is going to sound crazy. But there's part of me that I'm glad because I don't know if our character could have supported us being successful.
I mean, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. I don't know. Okay. So
God works things out for a reason.
So let's move into the real estate side of things, which I think it's interesting because you say that you would have started in your 20s, but it's just kind of wild that how you guys just ended up in that space.
Mhm.
Like, because it was what 4 years after, 3 years, 4 years after?
Yeah. So I left QR Pro to work for a corporate company, then went and worked family business when that one didn't work out. And I worked there for 2 years. And me and Adam, we were on a float trip in 2016, floating down the 11-Point River, which if you ever floated, like you just rethink your whole life because there's nothing else to do, right? It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I was going to say the way you said that.
I love floating, man. It's the best. So we're floating in a canoe and like Adam had been in real estate since 2012 actually. And I was just talking to him about work and how things are going. And at that point I was back at the family business. I was back at doing, t-shirt graphic design and like capped out, right? Like, I mean, I'm only going to make so much money. I'm a salaried employee at a family company. And, like obviously it was great to have that chapter of my life that I could go earn an income for my family, but had a wife at home with a kid. And we weren't making it. Like, I had a $40,000 a year salary.
Yeah.
And we weren't like between house and car and insurance and baby and all this stuff. Like we did not have enough money every single month to pay the bills. And so at some point I'm like, all right, here I am. I'm, licking my wounds of like, I've gone through all this stuff and I'm no further along than I've, so anyway, I'm sitting here talking to Adam. He's talking about real estate. And I'm like, you know what? Like God's kind of nudging me, like maybe I need to look into real estate. He offered the opportunity to join his team. And so it was a big risk because it's a commission only business.
Yeah.
My wife is not working, right?
Yeah.
Like, but I just felt like that's what I was supposed to do. So got my real estate license, went into real estate in March of 2017, full time.
Yeah.
And it was like perfect timing, like God timed it right. I had all these experiences up to that point that helped me get ready for real estate that I didn't even know about. And I just went in and hit the ground running. And my first year in real estate sold 35 houses.
I didn't realize it was that high.
35. Yeah. And like,
holy cow.
You want to talk about just drinking from a fire hose. Like I will jump back. So I mentioned before, the running joke is I'd come home to Tracy and be like, hey, I got this business idea. Yeah. I will tell you, she is the most incredible, most supportive person ever. I mean, she's been with me on every single step of the way and every journey.
You're so blessed in that.
Yes. I mean, so blessed. And so here we go. I go back to her in 2016. I'm like, hey, I just got back on this float trip. I think I need to go in real estate. She's like, okay. And I'm like, it's commission only. And she's like,
oh gosh.
Okay. Like, here we go. We actually like decided to, let's see, did we move? No, we had just moved in. We had just moved into a new house. A little bit before that, we didn't have any money. So we actually lived with my mom. Yeah. We rented out our house and went and lived with my mom because we couldn't make enough money to pay. I mean, like no money. So anyway, told her, she said, all right, we committed to 3 years of building real estate as hard and as fast as I possibly could. And that meant nights, weekends, like whatever was going to happen, I was going to give it everything I could because at that point I'm like, I got to make this thing work.
Yeah.
So
kind of a burn the ships kind of moment.
Yeah, 100%. I had to. And so, so then, first year in real estate, sold 35 houses. Of course, I was on Adam's team. He was the team leader and we were building it together. Next year sold 50 houses, and just kept things rolling from there. Well, then we had another partner on our team. And we were at a larger international brokerage, and that person decided to leave and go to a different brokerage. And so it was just me and Adam, and we had a couple team members. And this was at the end of 2018. And we're like, what would it look like if we started our own brokerage? Obviously coming back to the entrepreneurial heart, right? Like There were things going on at the brokerage we were part of that we did not like.
Yeah.
In leadership, just a lot of stuff that we just were not a big fan of. We also felt like we were just kind of a number there.
Yeah.
So we weren't even officing out of the main office. We had our own office space. Nobody ever called. Nobody ever checked on us. Like nothing. Okay.
Just giving them the money.
That's right.
Basically.
That's right. Yep. And then also we felt like there was a gap in the market, in the real estate market, where we have 2 or 3 really large brokerages that had hundreds of agents. And we've got quite a few mom and pop brokerages that had 5, 10, 20 agents.
Yeah.
And there was really nobody in the middle
Yeah.
that was large enough that people knew who they were. They saw their signs, they saw their marketing, they knew their brand, but small enough where we could still have a relationship with every agent there. They have our cell phone number. We want to know what your goals are. There is not one path to success in real estate. Like, what are your goals? And so anyway, through a lot of like prayer and deciding, we're like, all right, let's jump into real estate or starting our own brokerage. So we worked on all the details in 2018. I could not get my broker's license because I had not been in real estate for 2 years. So Adam got his.
Yeah.
We decided, we had a few people that we went ahead and called just to say, hey, listen, we didn't want you to see it on Facebook. They were friends of ours. Like, hey, we're starting our brokerage. And so we had several people like, hey, what is this? Like, tell us more about it. So we had an informational meeting. We had 20, you were there.
I was there.
You were there.
Did I film it or?
I don't remember.
I was there I think I was filming it.
Maybe. Yeah, that's true. We had 21 people there.
Yeah.
And so like we launched January of 2019, Alpha Realty. We had quite a few agents that came join right away. And then we just grew every year since there. So,
which I think is interesting. What's crazy is like it proved out there was a need because you guys had talked about just being a small boutique, like a medium-sized boutique. And now it's grown into like how many agents you guys have now?
We have 150 agents
150 agents.
Yeah.
Like that puts you for sure. You're the middle of Springfield at this point, right?
Yeah. They're still, once again, we're not trying to compete with a couple of the bigger ones that have 400, 500, 600 agents because at that point you lose culture.
Yeah.
And you lose a lot.
That was the thing for you guys, right?
Yeah.
You were trying to create that culture of family and priorities. And
our 5-year plan was to get like 50 agents.
I remember I was like,
that was like our 5-year plan. Like initially our first year was me and Adam were just going to join obviously our own brokerage. We're going to kind of create the systems in the second year and then third year, and go from there. And so, here we are 6 years later and grown way better than we can even imagine. Honestly, like blessed timing to get into real estate. 2019 is when we launched.
Oh gosh.
2020, I think we know what happened in 2020 and the real estate world just exploded here. A ton of people were getting their license and jumping in.
Talking about God's timing right there.
Totally God's timing. So, it's been a wonderful journey with great people.
But I think, okay, so just being an outside party, looking at your stuff, being a part throughout here, a little here and there with, I've done some video and just different things for you along the way. You guys, I can see everything that has built to where you're at. Your ability to build a brand, your ability to understand marketing, everything you guys have built this amazing brand in the community. Everybody just recognized from the look, the feel. I feel like you were really hitting that young, hip demographic that was really there's all these older people in real estate and like you've kind of built this fun, family oriented community.
We literally just built the business we wanted to be a part of. Like, we are not fake about any of it because, and I think probably the reason it does resonate with people is because it's just who we are.
Yeah.
Like we wanted a business where we could bring our families around to events and not be afraid what they were going to hear and what they were going to see.
Yeah.
That was not the case at our previous brokerage.
Yeah.
Every event they put on was between 4 and 6 and happy hour.
Yeah.
That's family time for us.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, okay, we want to switch some things around about the way we do things at events and the culture and like, let's just create it the way we want. We have our core values on faith and family first, relationships over real estate, honesty and integrity, like going above and beyond, like all of those kind of things, because that's just who we were and what we wanted to bring.
And the other thing, I can say this because I don't think you're allowed to say this. I can say this.
Okay. All right. Just say it.
But you also weren't greedy in your splits. and you were kind and generous. And I think that's also something like you needed to grow your company and do something, but you were also putting it in a place where you empower people to be successful too.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
And I think that was also something that resonated because like I have, I have tons of friends in real estate.
Oh yeah.
Like you guys are a very fair and equitable company when it comes to that side of things. And I think that speaks to your character.
That's what we would want.
Yes.
Right.
But that still goes back to your character
yes.
of you and Adam from before. And I think everything you've learned through being around the things that we're like, oh, wow, that's really not fun to be around.
Yeah. Well, and you want to know one of the other things that we really pride ourselves on, and I think I can say this, we have never recruited one single agent to come to Alpha.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Which is crazy.
When you think about it.
In the real estate world specifically, there are full-time people at brokerages that call and try to recruit and poach agents from other brokerages. Yeah. That's their full-time job.
Yeah.
We've never done that. Well, so we have 150 agents at the brokerage that have either that have literally came to us to learn more about Alpha and sat down and resonated with who we were, or they were referred by another agent at Alpha.
Which I think, again, it goes back to the character. It goes back to the like, guys, like we read these books about the culture and the character. And like when you create a sustainable, I can't even tell you like the amount of books I've read about this, of creating where you don't have that turnover and you build lasting things. They've done that. And I think that we look at that like, oh, that just, we need to make money. But when you prioritize relationships over money, there's bigger fruit. And I think that's something that you guys did. And so, okay, so let's pull back. This has been I'm so glad that things have been successful. What are the mishaps? What are the biggest lessons you learned as far as failures in Alpha as you were building this thing?
Honestly, I'm thankful that we learned a lot in previous businesses. Hey, yeah, here. I mean, and not just you, like family business, and Adam worked in a lot of different industries and had a lot of experience with it too. So, to be honest, like we have not had any like major failures within Alpha. I think the biggest thing, which I will tap into here, is it has also been successful because Alpha running the brokerage side was kind of a side hustle to our real estate business. So me and Adam were still out. We still sell some houses. Like we've scaled back, but me and Adam were still out hustling, selling 100+ homes a year,
which is crazy.
Two of us.
That puts you in the top 5% of Springfield.
So, yeah, something like that. But we were living off of that, and we didn't touch a single thing from what we made from Alpha for the first like 3 years.
That's
because and so that was once again learning to have the money to fund it whenever we needed to put more money into the business. We could, because we hadn't touched any of that income. So that was a big win. I know that's an answer to your failure, but I would say our biggest failures have been, maybe hiring the wrong staff, just trying to rush to get someone in there that probably wasn't the best fit.
Yeah.
And so we've had that a couple times. I would say, we've had some like tax, things with running a business and not allocating those funds properly to tax savings and things like that. Yeah. So we've been hit with big tax bills and stuff like that. And that's just, I think any business you learn that, and some of that is unavoidable. Yeah. Right.
100%.
But, I would say we've done good with learning and small things here and there, but nothing big and detrimental.
Okay. So let's talk about that. Like over the course of, like for you, entrepreneurship started when you were a teenager.
Yeah.
Whether you were running something, but you were around it.
Oh, absolutely.
And seeing all of it.
Yeah.
And collectively, this has been a 20-year process.
Yeah. I sold t-shirts at concerts.
Yeah.
When I was a kid. Yeah.
But like, so there's not this overnight success, because that's the thing I've been really like when you start looking at these stories, there's very few truly overnight successes.
Oh yeah.
And you look at the stories of what they did to get there. And I think that's, all of it came together, like you're saying.
If we would have started Alpha 20 years ago, whenever, like when I was a kid, it probably would have failed. Like there would have, and we would have had so many more things that we were trying to learn and figure out along the way. And so, like you said, sometimes it is just time and developing things and businesses that you learn. And then also, like, I have become more of a sponge when it comes to learning.
Yeah.
I always try to prioritize that, but I just devour books and audios and podcasts and, conferences and things like that as much as I can to try and help with that.
Okay. So the last question I ask all of my guests, what do you believe has led to the 90% failure rate in business? And how would you fix it?
I think that there are a lot of people out there that try a business or try this venture, whatever it is, and money is the first thing that pushes them out of it.
Mm.
And I feel like we've talked about this a bunch through this podcast, is not having that part figured out to give yourself the time and the bandwidth that you need to either develop the business, whether that be learning how to run a side hustle while you're working a full-time job.
Yeah.
I think there's so many businesses out there that can be started as a side hustle with no or little
money
upfront cost.
Yeah.
To develop while you have a W-2 job, and to keep that going. That's a great way to start. And even in real estate, a lot of our agents start part-time.
Yeah.
They're working full-time, they get their real estate license, they do that for a while till they build up enough cash, and then they're able to go full-time into it. So I think the money aspect of it is what blows a lot of people out of business right away. That's why businesses fail, right? I mean, honestly, if a business was making money, they wouldn't fail, right? So figuring out the money aspect of it, it's funny too, I guess. So whether that be a side hustle, whether that be like, hey, I want to start a business, but I'm going to save 25% of my paycheck for the next 2 years until I have that money set aside, and then I'm going to jump in and do that. And then having the buy-in from the people who are the closest around you. Like,
that's good.
You are not successful if you run a successful business that's making millions of dollars at the sacrifice of your kids and your wife or your family or your husband or whatever. Like, it's not worth it, right? At that point. And so making sure you have buy-in from the people around you, like, hey, this is what we're going to do, and getting them involved with it. Like, my boys love being a part of the real estate stuff now. So I think those two things are probably the biggest that I've noticed.
It's really, really good.
Yep.
What I love about that is the first part of it, like, again, was kind of what I was saying a second ago. If you can't hustle and make it work and figure it out,
right?
Like, while doing something else, what makes you think you're going to do it when you have no distraction?
Right.
Like,
for sure.
And the family buy-in, I think that's again, that legacy that is just perpetuated through this whole thing. And it's pretty, I see it. And it's just, guys, I see it. And it's just, again, when I started this podcast or this show out, that's why I want to say that, because this is a really amazing friend. And if I hope you guys can see that and apply it to your lives. I really do. So with that being said, I really thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, this was fun.
Last parting thoughts or ideas before we end this thing?
No, I just want to say to you guys who are jumping in, like, Jeremy has a ton of experience. He is truly focusing on ways to help you as a business owner. This is not self-serving. This has been, I think he's talked about Defeat 90 since before we were with QR Pro. I think this has been an idea forever of how do we help small business owners be successful and have a well-balanced life of being successful, quote unquote, not just monetarily, but, relationally and physically and mentally, emotionally, like all of those things. How do you do that? You do that through a community, and you do that also through wisdom, which is learning from other people's mistakes. And so Jeremy, that's the whole point of this, is to bring content and bring a community that can come together, and let's defeat this stat that people fail, because yes, there's power in learning from failures, but hopefully you can learn from the failures of people that come on this show and the community that allows you to save that time, whenever you're running your business. So I appreciate you for all that you're doing in this community. I hope that it's going to be well received, that it's going to get out there to people, and people can see the value in it for sure.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Your stories, your experiences can change it all. Let's fight failure together. We can defeat 90.